Imagine waking up one morning thinking your biggest concern will be feeding your chickens and patching a fence, only to find yourself at war with a secretive, powerful HOA backed by hired mercenaries and a billion-dollar land grab scheme. Yeah, this isn't a dream. This was my life. Let me tell you how it all went down. My name's Jack Callahan. I'm a 41-year-old retired Army engineer who just wanted peace. After years overseas, I bought a 120-acre ranch tucked away in the hills of northern Arizona. No neighbors, no traffic, no HOA. Or so I thought. I called it High Pines Ranch. Just me, my two dogs, Duke and Shadow, and enough land to make the world feel quiet again. But peace is a luxury some people don't like you having. Week 2, I spot a spotless white SUV parked near my gate. A guy in a pastel polo shirt, clipboard in hand, is snapping pictures of my barn like he's on a real estate show. I walk over, wiping sweat off my brow. "Can I help you?" I ask. He barely looks up. "You're in violation of several HOA codes." I laugh. "There's no HOA here." He clicks his pen. "Not anymore. This property now falls under Cedar Ridge Community Association. You're in Unit 12B. I blinked. Unit what now? Turns out, a neighboring luxury development had redrawn its jurisdiction, quietly approved by some county officials, and my ranch now technically bordered their new expansion. And according to their updated documents, my land was grandfathered in. They handed me a 30-page compliance notice, tear down my solar panels, limit livestock to 6 heads, no unapproved fencing, and, get this, register my dogs or face penalties. I told Clipboard Guy where to stick it, then went inside and poured myself a drink. The next few weeks, hell, my fence was cut twice. A water valve in my irrigation system got sabotaged. One morning, I found dead fish floating in my trough. Then came the message, spray painted across my barn door. "Comply or be removed." That's when I stopped treating this like a misunderstanding and started treating it like what it was, an invasion. See, I didn't just serve in the army. I designed counter-intrusion systems for military bases. I know how to protect a perimeter. So I got to work. I rigged my fence with motion sensors, hid trail cams in the trees, trained Duke and Shadow with whistle commands, and then, just to be clear, I legally ordered non-lethal deterrents. Pressure-activated sonic alarms and flash mines that shot paint instead of shrapnel. Because if they were going to come, they were going to regret it. 3 nights later, they did. It started with headlights. 2 black vans rolled up the dirt path. Out stepped 8 men. Full tactical gear. No insignia. Not cops. Not neighborhood watch. Hired muscle. They fanned out in formation, like they were breaching a compound in Fallujah. But this wasn't a war zone. It was my ranch. Or maybe it was both. The first squad hit the paint mines. Boom. Bright blue powder exploded in their faces. Screams. Confusion. Then came the sonic alarms, ear-splitting blasts that sent them scrambling. One guy dove behind a hay bale, another froze mid-step near my scarecrow. I watched it all from the barn loft, through binoculars. "Don't move." I whispered into the mic, watching him sweat. Then the SUV showed up, and out stepped the clipboard guy, but now he was carrying a shotgun and barking orders like some off-brand general. That's when I pressed the red button. Boom! My old bridge over Crooked Creek exploded with compressed air and dye packs. The escape route? Gone. I turned on my loudspeaker. Leave my land now. Clipboard guy, real name was Ryan Tate, screamed, "You're making a huge mistake. This goes bigger than you." He wasn't wrong, because a few days later, the sabotage started again, but quieter this time. Someone cut my internet line. Then, my backup generator wires. Then, my water supply. No more flashy attacks. This was a siege. Psychological warfare. So I made a call. Mason Ruiz, old buddy from Iraq, now runs a private security firm. Within 24 hours, he showed up with a truck full of tech and 3 ex-Marines. Drones, thermal scanners, satellite comms, even a mobile command center in my barn. The war wasn't over. It was evolving. Days later, the next wave hit. 3 SUVs, 12 men, gas masks, and chainsaws. One carried a gas can. They weren't just here to scare me, they came to burn it down. But we were ready. Duke and Shadow tore through the field like missiles. The lights came on, alarms blared, and Mason's team flanked them from the tree line. I fired a flare over their heads as a warning, but one guy lit the match anyway. Big mistake. Shadow took him down before he even hit the steps. We disarmed them, zip-tied the lot, and called the sheriff. That's when the story started to unravel. Turns out, this wasn't just about HOA codes. This was about what's under my land. Mason and I discovered something wild, an old geological survey buried in county records. Under my property, a rare earth mineral deposit. Lithium, as in the stuff that powers every electric car and smartphone on the planet. The HOA? A front. A fake shell association controlled by a corporate firm called Stonegate Acquisitions. And guess who's been fronting their land grabs across the Southwest? Ryan Tate. But Stonegate doesn't act alone. They had ties to a holding company in Nevada, with overseas investors and ties to, you guessed it, government officials in 3 states. This wasn't about curb appeal. It was about mining rights and silent takeovers. They wanted me gone because I stood in the way of billions. That night, I uploaded every file, drone footage, intruder logs, sheriff reports, to the cloud. I called every contact I had, journalists, environmental watchdogs, veterans groups. And then I waited. Within days, the media swarmed. CNN drones overhead, articles on the front page. Veteran rancher resists secret land grab. I became the face of a battle I never asked for. Then it got crazier. A private jet landed at a rural airstrip 12 miles away. A convoy rolled in. Out stepped him, the real boss. Henry Langston, billionaire, real estate mogul, CEO of Stonegate. He walked right up to my gate and offered me $50 million cash. Right there. I said no. He smiled like a shark. This doesn't end here, he warned, but it did. Because federal agents, real ones, descended from helicopters minutes later. Turns out, my files had gone viral. The Bureau of Land Management and the State Attorney General were investigating corruption and fraudulent seizures all across Arizona. Langston and Tate were both arrested. Stonegate's assets were frozen. Cedar Ridge. HOA dissolved overnight. But it wasn't over just yet. A week later, bulldozers appeared again, just outside my fence. Turns out, they'd filed new mining permits for the federal land that bordered mine. Legally, they weren't trespassing. But geologically, they were going to suck my land dry. So I rallied the troops, ranchers, veterans, journalists. Hundreds arrived, camped out, filmed, live-streamed. We built a human wall of resistance, a peaceful protest with teeth. The public pressure worked. 2 weeks later, the Secretary of the Interior arrived in person, shook my hand, declared the area a federally protected heritage site. All mining halted. Permits revoked. My land, safe for good. I was offered a conservation easement deal to keep parts of the land untouched, with full ownership, and yeah, I said yes. That evening, I sat on the porch with Mason and the dogs, watching the sunset. "You think it's really over?" he asked. I took a long sip of coffee. "I think they know now," I said. "Some land can't be bought, some people won't be bullied, and some ranchers fight back." If you've ever dealt with a shady HOA, a power-hungry board, or felt pushed around by people with too much money and not enough decency, drop a comment below. What would you do if someone tried to steal your land? Let's hear your stories. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around. Because this war, it's far from over.